Every now and then a country makes a move that is just so big, so ambitious, you have to stop and take notice. Well, that's exactly what's happening in Oman. They're placing a truly massive bet on the future of energy, and it's all about green hydrogen. And when I say massive, I am not kidding. Look at this number, $50 billion. That's not a target, that's the amount of capital that companies have already committed to Oman's green hydrogen projects. This isn't just some idea on a whiteboard, this is a real deal, full steam ahead industrial revolution. So, what exactly does $50 billion get you? Well, the goal is to be pumping out somewhere between 7.5 and 8.5 million tons of green hydrogen a year by 2050. We're talking about positioning Oman as one of the world's top suppliers for the entire clean energy economy. But that brings up the big question, right? In a world that's absolutely full of big promises, especially in the energy sector, how on earth do you convince global investors to pour that kind of money into a brand new industry in an emerging market? It's a huge challenge. Okay, so to really get why Oman is succeeding, we first have to talk about the problem. See, mega projects like this are famous for hitting the same walls over and over again. There's this predictable set of hurdles that can scare away even the most excited investors. And these aren't just little bumps in the road. We're talking about the big stuff. Messy fights over who owns the land that can freeze a project for years. Regulations that are so confusing, nobody's sure what the rules are. The constant fear that a new government might just come in and scrap the whole thing. And, maybe the most frustrating part, having no single clear person or office to talk to. For anyone investing for the long haul, these are absolute deal breakers. So, Oman looked at all these potential problems, and they decided to solve them before they even asked for the first dollar. And this, right here, is where their strategy gets really, really smart. They created what you might call a master orchestrator. And this is it. It's called Hydrom, which stands for Hydrogen Oman. Now, think of Hydrom as the conductor of a massive orchestra. It's a government company, but its one and only job is to be the single point of contact, the chief problem solver, and basically the de-risking machine for the whole industry. So how does it actually work? Well, Hydrom basically takes on all those investor nightmares we just talked about. First, those messy land disputes? Gone. Hydrom controls a huge area of pre-approved land ready to go. Second, the regulatory confusion? Not an issue. It runs one single, totally transparent auction process. Everyone plays by the same clear rules. And third, that fear of policy changes? Hydro makes sure every project is locked into Oman's long-term national strategy. It's just a brilliant way of solving problems before they even start. And all of this creates something that investors crave more than almost anything else: stability. That confidence, that feeling that the ground isn't going to shift under your feet, has been called the Oman Premium. It's this invisible asset that's proving to be worth billions. So the big question is, did it work? Oman built this beautiful, stable, investor-friendly sandbox. They created this Oman Premium. But did the big global players actually show up with their money? Well, the answer was a massive, undeniable yes. I mean, the response wasn't just good. It was like a tidal wave of investment that proved the whole strategy was right. The numbers are just, wow. Get this, $20 billion. That's how much was signed in project agreements in 2023 alone. To put that in perspective, that's 40% of their entire $50 billion goal locked in within a single year. That is what happens when you remove risk from the equation. And just look at who's showing up. We're not talking about small-time players here. This is a who's who of global energy and finance. You've got giants like BP, huge European funds like Copenhagen Infrastructure Partners, and all these powerful international groups all fighting for a piece of the pie. The market has spoken, and it's given Oman a huge vote of confidence. So let's just pull back for a second and think about the big picture. What Oman has done here is more than just a smart energy plan. It's a potential blueprint for how to get massive projects built, period. This could be a total game changer. Here's the key takeaway. The genius of Hydromod was that it was proactive. It didn't wait for problems to pop up. It found all the big structural headaches, land, rules, coordination, and solved them up front. By doing that, they built this foundation of trust and stability. And it's that foundation that you need to build a multi-billion-dollar industry from thin air. And that leaves us with this one last, really powerful question. If this orchestrator model can work so well for green hydrogen in Oman, what else could it work for? Could you use it to build high-speed rail across Africa or massive new water systems in Asia? It really makes you wonder, has Oman accidentally created the master blueprint for how we're going to build the next generation of global infrastructure? It's a pretty big idea to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.